welcome to Wealth Lab. Today, we're tearing off the Band-Aid and looking at the ugly truth about money. Get this, millions of incredibly hardworking people are going to reach retirement with basically nothing saved. Honestly, just think about the emotional toll of that. You're grinding away, right? 40 hours a week for 40 long years. You give the absolute best decades of your life to an employer, you do exactly what society tells you to do, and somehow you can still wake up on your last day of work completely broke, staring down a retirement you just can't afford. So why does this happen? Well, because earning money and keeping money, those are two completely different skills. Let's dig into why 99% of people struggle to build real wealth, and more importantly, how you can finally break out of that trap. 32%. That is a massive number. It's the percentage of high-earning households that literally ignore their retirement planning completely. And listen, we're not talking about people struggling on minimum wage here. We're talking about folks making well over 6 figures a year. Yet nearly a third of them have absolutely no long-term financial plan. They're still caught in that paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. It's just happening on a much, much more expensive scale. Turns out a higher income definitely did not cure their financial insecurity. Which brings us to this really fascinating concept, the Henry. It stands for high earner, not rich yet. So a Henry pulls in a fantastic salary. They've got a lot of discretionary income, but they fail to actually accumulate wealth because, while their consumption is just as high, they're perfectly balancing this super heavy, expensive lifestyle, but they're leaving literally nothing to nurture their actual wealth. Sure, they look rich, they drive the flashy cars, they live in the massive houses, but behind the scenes, their net worth is shockingly low. It just goes to show generating a high income simply does not automatically equal being wealthy. All right, let's dive right into section 1. It's not your income. We are all kind of conditioned to believe that a bigger salary is going to magically solve all our financial problems, but it doesn't. Just think about all those highly paid athletes or big-name celebrities, the ones who made millions of dollars only to declare bankruptcy just a few years later. Or even everyday professionals, doctors, lawyers, corporate executives, people making incredible money who still end up dying broke. Why does that happen? Because there is a massive fundamental difference between income and wealth. Income is just the money you earn from working. It pays the bills. But you're essentially on a treadmill, right? Running constantly just to keep the cash flowing. Wealth, on the other hand, is the net worth and the assets you actually keep. Wealth is like planting a money tree that grows while you sleep. If you spend every single dollar you make, you're not wealthy. You just have a high cash flow. If you lose your job tomorrow, your income stops. And if you don't have wealth to fall back on, you're instantly in big trouble. This crucial point is captured so perfectly in this quote. Wealth is built on behavior, not brilliance. Honestly, I love this. You absolutely do not need a massive IQ to get wealthy. Real financial success, it comes from consistency. It comes from emotional control and pure discipline. Think about the so-called genius stock picker who constantly panics, right? They sell at the very first sign of a market dip. Now compare them to the totally average worker who just steadily invests every single month without ever even glancing at the news. That average worker, they win almost every single time because the smartest investors know they have to manage their own behavior, not just their money. Okay, let's move on to section 2, the wealth destroyers. So what's actually eating up all your hard-earned money? Let's take a look at the hidden psychological and behavioral traps. These are the truly powerful forces that keep incredibly hardworking people stuck right in the rat race, no matter how much they earn. And the biggest trap of them all, lifestyle creep. This happens when your spending naturally rises right alongside your income. Picture this. You get a big raise at work. You feel this awesome surge of pride. You think to yourself, hey, I earned this. And instead of saving that extra cash, you go out and lease a nicer car. Or you get a bonus and suddenly you're renovating the kitchen. Your earnings go up, for sure, but your actual financial position, it never improves. You just lock yourself right back into that paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. You've simply upgraded your lifestyle to match your brand new paycheck. There are several of these mental forces actively destroying wealth right under our noses. First up, hedonic adaptation. That basically means we get used to new luxuries super fast. That fancy new car, it just feels normal after about a month. Then there's social comparison, keeping up with everyone else around you. A lack of real financial education makes us fall deep into consumer debt just to fund this totally false image. Next, we suffer from something called hyperbolic discounting. It's a fancy term, but it just means we crave the immediate cupcake over the long-term yacht. We want those instant rewards right now instead of waiting for the massive long-term benefits. And finally, we fall for the disposition effect. This is crazy. It's when we hold on to our losing investments out of pure stubbornness, but then we sell our winning investments way too early just to feel a quick win. Every single one of these psychological forces is actively destroying your wealth. And because of these mental traps, people end up making a massive mistake. They prioritize depreciating assets over tangible wealth. Basically, they buy things that are guaranteed to lose value over time. Designer clothes, really expensive cars, the absolute latest gadgets. These things literally drain your net worth. If you're finding this valuable, please subscribe to Wealth Lab and share this video with your friends and family. It really helps us grow. Now, on the flip side, wealthy people, they buy things that go up in value. Real estate, stocks, businesses. They buy assets that will eventually pay for all their luxuries down the line.
All right, Section 3, the mindset gap.
Truly wealthy people simply think about money entirely differently than the vast majority of the population. Building wealth starts in your mind way before it ever shows up in your bank account. It really comes down to a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. A scarcity mindset is totally driven by fear, anxiety, and comparison. It keeps you hunched over, anxiously protecting the little bit you have out of fear. Or ironically, it makes you stress spend it all just trying to look successful to others. But an abundance mindset? It's like planting a seed in the sunlight. It's highly strategic, it's long-term, and it's confident. Wealthy people deeply understand the fundamental difference between assets, which put money right into your pocket, and liabilities, which take money out. They have mastered delayed gratification. They know that sacrificing just a little bit today means absolute freedom tomorrow.
So I've got to ask you this directly. Are you prioritizing immediate rewards over your long-term security? Really take a second to pause and reflect on your own financial habits. Are you buying things today at the direct expense of your future self? Just let that sink in for a moment. If you've been feeling like wealth is completely out of reach for you, it might just be that your timeline is a little too short.
Let's jump into Section 4, the wealth formula. Okay, let's fix this right now. Here is a super simple, highly actionable framework. Literally anyone can follow it, regardless of what your current income level is. You definitely don't need to be some Wall Street financial expert. You really just need discipline. This is a fantastic starting point, and it's called the 50-30-20 rule. First, allocate 50% of your income strictly to necessities. That's your housing, food, and bills. The goal is to keep those essential living costs as low as possible. Next, allocate 30% to discretionary spending. Listen, you still need to enjoy your life. Eat out, travel, have some fun. But here's the kicker. Strictly allocate the remaining 20% to savings and investments. You have to make that 20% completely non-negotiable. For example, if you make $5,000 a month, that means $1,000 immediately goes to work for your future. Always, always pay yourself first. If you really want to build wealth sustainably, here are the 3 simple steps to follow. Step 1, live below your means. You absolutely must create a healthy, expanding gap between what you earn and what you spend. Step 2, automate your savings. Please do not rely on sheer human willpower. Treat it like a robotic arm that just scoops up your money and moves it for you. Set it up so that the money leaves your checking account before you even have a chance to look at it. Take all the human emotion completely out of the equation. And step 3, invest patiently. Fully embrace the get-rich-slow philosophy. Let compound interest do all the heavy lifting for you over the decades. It really is the 8th wonder of the world. Because remember, time in the market will always, always beat timing the market. So the big question is, will you stay a Henry forever? Or are you going to start building true wealth today? That choice is entirely up to you. You genuinely have the power to change your financial behavior right now. Focus on buying assets, get control of your spending, and above all, be incredibly patient. The tools are right here in front of you. Take that very first step today. Thank you for joining us today. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to Wealth Lab. We'll see you in the next one.